Some people met Aaron Grant. Nobody ever met Bill.
Yeah.
He spent his entire term on the county board at Sparrow.
That's sad.
Who we paid him today.
Well, good.
You good to go?
Good.
I'm ready, sir. You good? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 4 o'clock, so I will call the Capital Area Transportation Authority Board of Directors meeting for Wednesday, January 15th to order and ask our secretary to please call the roll.
Keith Barber,
Present.
Kelly Blackwell,
Present.
Bill DeShane,
Present.
Chelsea Dollar,
Present.
Shannon Draheim,
Here.
Mark Gardner,
Here.
Eric Milo, John Crush,
Here.
Maggie Sanders, Jack Schmidt,
Here.
Eric Tans, Nathan Triplett,
Here.
and Stephen Bagnozzi.
Here.
Thank you. And just a note for the board, Derek is unable to be with us in person this evening, but he is joining us virtually, so he'll be able to hear and participate in the discussion if the opportunity arises and he wants to pipe in. That brings us to our second agenda item, public comments on agenda items. This is the time we set aside during each of our meetings to hear comments from the public on items on this evening's agenda. We'd ask that you please consider filling out a blue card to assist our secretary and that you limit your comments to 3 minutes, and we'll have a timer to assist you with that. I'll call folks in the order in which I received blue cards and then ask if there's anyone else who wishes to comment, which this evening, both of our blue cards are for speaking at the end of the meeting. So let me just ask, is there anyone present who wishes to offer public comment at this first opportunity on agenda items? All right. Seeing none, we'll proceed with the agenda. Next is chair's comments. Just 2 quick things from me this evening. One is a note of welcome to the new faces around the table, our board table today. First to Keith Barber, who is replacing Terrence Augustine as our representative from Eaton County on the board. Welcome, Keith. We're glad to have you. And we are, for the moment, at a full complement of board members now, with the city of Lansing having approved its final appointee, and Chelsea Dollar is joining us as a representative from the city of Lansing. So I understand Brad intentionally sat them together over there for reasons I don't quite fathom, but welcome to you both. We're glad to have you.
We bonded, so.
There you go. He knew what he was doing. My only other item this evening is to note that 2 of our colleagues, Eric and Maggie, have requested excused absences. So I would ask if there's a motion to excuse their absences. Moved by Shanna, seconded by Jack. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. Their absences are excused. Which brings us to our Chief Executive Officer's report. Brad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I echo your comments and welcome both of our new board members. I've had the pleasure of spending a little bit of time with each and look forward to a more robust conversation and appreciate your service to this board. It's an exciting time to join the CATA board and Commissioner Barber, both boards actually. So welcome. Number 2, MLK Junior celebration is Monday, and this is a historic year for us. We have a lot of people from CATA going to represent CATA and the region this year. We are a major sponsor, which means that we get a cool table up front and we get to clap real loud for our first year commissioner, Lolo Robinson. So we're very proud. And it's going to be awesome. Number 2, update on the vacant parcels. This is the small parcels that are downtown beside the Greyhound building. This board approved the purchase of those pending environmental clearance. I will tell you, having worked for an environmental firm several years ago, I took great pleasure in reading every word of this and had made some notes in here. So if you would like to read it, kidding aside, we were holding our breath because of the past uses of these 2 parcels. One was an auto repair shop. The other was a dry cleaner. There would have been contaminated soil at some point. It came back clean and has been cleaned up, and we are pleased with the results. So we are scheduled to close on that property next Friday. The chairman and I will do the same as we did with the property. Also on Friday, Tina has put out an invitation from 2 to 4, any board member that would like to come by and tour the facility. That's kind of a period of time that we know will be cleaned and the heat will be on. And if you would like to view that property and see some of the neat stuff in there, please join us. If I can help you see it at another time, please let Tina or I know, and we will make arrangements for you to view it. We are moving quickly. You will have an item before you next month talking about master planning and the architectural engineering services for what we hope to plan in that building moving forward. So it is going to be a brisk process moving forward, but we're excited about it. So we should have possession of all of the property by next Friday. The 27th of January will mark the press release and kickoff formal hard launch of the CATA Rides service. This is the new paratransit service that you've been seeing the little purple logo vehicles around, and those vehicles, and people are interested. We've got a lot of people talking about that, and so you will have more information in the next couple of weeks about the launch of the hard launch of that. And we do have press inquiries already about the micro transit service, which you approved last year for us to move forward on. And finally, a quick update that I would partner with Commissioner Barber on. He has already heard this update that we will be meeting with Delta Township on Friday to further our discussions about what they would like to do with the E-Tran regional coordination objectives. So the new E-Tran chair is the acting supervisor of Delta, Mary Clark, and we'll be meeting with her and the manager to talk about plans for 2025 and how we keep this collaboration going. So those are my quick updates, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Brad. Questions or comments for Brad on his report? Phil?
Having a former dry cleaner and a former auto shop on local property, I can't think of worse legacy for a property we're going to acquire. Now, this, we know it, we've been told it's clean. Is that been certified, or is that just the realtor, or who has told us it's clean and won't need further remediation?
Yeah, we hired SME, which is an environmental firm, to go out and do borings and actually have geologists test the soil for things like benzene, which is the gasoline contaminants. And so by the commercial standards that I still use the term DEQ. So I wouldn't use the word certified, but it has been reviewed by a firm that I actually used to compete against and trust very much. And I was very pleased and comfortable with the report that they gave that allows us to move forward without any additional remediation or costs involved.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Other questions or comments for Brad on his report? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Brad. That brings us to our proposed consent agenda, which includes 3 items for the board's consideration this evening. Those are the approval of the minutes of the November 20th board meeting, the approval of the treasurer's report for October 2024, and the approval of the treasurer's report from November 2024. Does any member of the board wish to have any of these items removed from the consent agenda to our discussion agenda? All right, seeing none, then I'll ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Moved by Phil. Is there a second? Seconded by Jack. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. The consent agenda is approved as presented, which brings us to our discussion agenda that includes 1 item this evening, a report from our policy committee regarding policy for guidelines of use, viewing, and storage of video and audio surveillance. This is the first reading of this policy. I'll ask Shanna as chair if she has any initial comments that she wants to make before asking staff to report on this item. But before I do that, I just want to make a note of thanks to the members of the policy committee. They've taken on a big task for this year. This is sort of the tip of that big policy iceberg, up to and including the fact that they already had 1 meeting earlier today, not on this item, on other things that are in the queue. So thank you to Shanna for leading that committee and to the members who have stepped up to do that work. It's appreciated. And with that, Shanna.
Thank you, Nathan. Yeah, I'm excited about what we talked about earlier, just kind of doing a little bit more routinization of when that committee will meet and what that means for some potential policy updates that are just needed from a timing perspective. This particular item, I don't have a lot to add other than the policy committee did meet and discuss it. Was that December? Yeah, December last month. we had conversations with Brad and leadership about various aspects of this, staff's viewpoints of this, where this was coming from, what are some of the considerations that this board might want to think about, and I'll let Brad kind of talk about some of that. But the policy committee felt that it made good sense to bring this forward for the first of 2 readings.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Madam Chair of the committee. Thank you. Quite simply, this board instructed us to do and pursue, investigate a pilot for cameras on buses. We discussed for those new members here that we're one of the few urban transit authorities that does not have operating video or audio recording equipment on the buses. So we set out to bring in some companies to try it out. And we have equipped both large buses and small buses with that equipment. And then we paused. We paused because, as some of you are familiar, once you start recording things and it is public domain, you're going to get a lot of requests for that. This board does not have a policy on that. One, to talk about the orderly distribution of that, but also to protect the public's interest. We need the board to speak on this. So we asked the attorney with the project manager, who is Dan Goodemood, who will be happy to answer questions on this policy, to draft a policy that is very similar to other agencies and allow us to bring it to the policy committee for consideration. Once approved, if this board approves it, it will take 2 readings in front of this board per our other policy that we're working on. Then it will go into effect and we'll be able to turn on the cameras and begin recording. Anything else, Dan, that I missed?
No, sir, that's an excellent summary.
I appreciate you saying so.
Shannon, did you have additional comments?
Well, I just, to kind of tee up the conversation, there were a couple areas in particular that I think the policy committee focused on. One was workload component, like this is video, there can be a lot of video. What does that mean? People come and ask us for that video. When will we use it? How would that be used? How are we going to keep those, records, and having a policy, and the importance of having a policy that's clear about that. So that was one area of conversation. And then we obviously did, talk about sort of privacy and how both employees, but also people riding the bus feel about this. I really appreciated staff's, precedents from other transit agencies and helping us understand what that looked like. So those were, I would say, from the policy committee standpoint, unless I'm forgetting them, but those were the primary areas of conversation as we talked about this. And are recommending it. I don't know that I said that. Policy committee is recommending this change.
Thanks, Shanna. Questions or comments from board members on the proposed policy, the full text of which is included in your board packet? Go ahead, Steve.
I read through this. I'm comfortable with what has been proposed. I mean, it seems to address the salient issues and balance against an unmanageable workload of maintaining all of this video and audio. So looks good to me.
Thank you. Other questions, comments, discussion on the proposed policy? Was that a hand mark? All right. So under policy 402, and Brad can correct me if I'm wrong, we require 2 readings of a policy before it can be adopted. So it will not be adopted tonight. However, we do either have to accept on first reading or accept with revisions the policy before it can go to a second reading. So if there is no further discussion, I would entertain a motion to accept the first reading of the proposed policy. Moved by Steve and moved by Shanna, seconded by Steve. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. We have accepted the policy on first reading, and we will see it back here next month on second reading for potential adoption. That brings us to old business. We have no noticed old business for this evening's meeting. Likewise, new business, which brings us to our second public comment opportunity. This is the time we set aside during each of our meetings to take comments on any issue relevant to CATA's operations. Same reminders as before. If you wish to speak, please consider filling out a blue card to assist our secretary and limit your comments to 3 minutes. We will have a timer to assist you. I will call folks in the order in which I had cards submitted and then ask if there's anyone else who wishes to offer public comment. So we'll begin this evening with Deb Parrish. Deb?
Thank you. As you can see, my holiday loving partner is not here today. As you know, she loved dressing up for every holiday and coming in here. Christmas was her favorite. She loved the sparkle, glitter, and colorful lights. I take comfort in knowing that when she passed away on Christmas Day, her light here on earth has dimmed. She will be a bright star in the heavenly sky. In her obituary, her family wrote that she wanted to acknowledge the care and support that CATA bus system provided for rides for the last few years for her. I especially want to thank Craig and Heidi for arranging Spectran rides to get me to see Glow when she was in hospice. Heidi would ask a lot of the veteran drivers if they wanted to be my driver to take me there and pick me up. Everyone felt honored when asked, and every time seeing her special drivers, she would always say how loved she is by her CATA family. A couple memorable drivers were Jeremy Barger, who does Ready Ride, Meridian Ready Ride. He had been on Meridian Ready Ride for a long time. Glow wasn't having the best of days, but said she wanted to see him and get her a hug because she hasn't had a hug for over 5 years. Another one was David Martin. When he came in, she lit up even though it was a dark day for her. He told her she was the most prepared person he knew to embrace going home to meet her maker. She shared her faith a lot on the bus, especially with him when his mom was sick on sometimes long rides, as you know, Spectran does have. Only once did Glow speak at this board meeting. In the middle of tough union negotiations, she told the board she liked happy drivers, and her drivers aren't happy. That's why she would come to the meetings and drag me along to make sure that her CATA family was taken care of. May she rest in peace.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you for your comments and for being here. And let me just say on behalf of the board and the whole CATA family, we feel Glow's loss as well, and she'll be missed. So thank you for being here and for speaking to her memory.
Yeah, she'll have a memorial on the 22nd of February, the day after her birthday, because she always said February was her birthday month, so I.
It's just fitting.
That sounds like her.
It'll be at Penn Church of God, and I'll let Craig know the information when they come. And I can say, if you call, I'll be greeting you, okay?
Thank you both.
Thanks.
Thank you both. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next comment will be from Dr. Deb Smith.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, and CEO. I thank you for letting me take the time to speak with you tonight. My name is Dr. Deborah Smith. I am the owner and operator of Wellness INX. We're a Lansing-based business that has been here for the past 12 into our 13th year. Our goal with Wellness INX has been to be a place for individuals recovering from substance use dependence. So we are run by, for, and with recoveries. Myself and the other two owners of our company represent about 50 years of active recovery. So I come to you from a knowledge base of the concerns that we have. What I'm hopeful to have from you by the time I leave is an endorsement that you would be willing to sign up for something that would be no cost to CATA, have a space that would take no more than 3 by 3 within the CATA main central station, would require no maintenance by CATA, a little bit of electricity to plug it in for a light switch, and something that would save lives. Narcan distribution is a vital element for our families. We often think about Narcan being distributed because we hear about EMS, that they're going to only be given to people that are in active use. Well, that's true. But the people that are taking the Narcan out of machines that we have found, we have one in our lobby. There's another one down in the Central Church, and there's dispersed all throughout the mid-Michigan area. I think we have 13 that include out in the rural climes as well. The people that are taking the Narcan are family and loved ones. Who does CATA serve? Family and loved ones. The people that take the Narcan out of the machines are also advanced cancer patients who have extreme heat. Extreme pain. When I was in California at Berkeley, I was with some services with the California Kaiser Permanente, one of the largest facilities, medical facilities. And Kaiser would give those to an endless supply of Narcan to families of cancer patients, one of my dear friends being one of them. Every time we went in, she got 2 boxes of Narcan to take with her. So these are life-saving things. We know that in the OAC, the Opioid Advisory Commission, has shown that mid-Michigan, Ingham County particularly, is the 4th highest overdose death place in the state of Michigan. We are also the 5th most administered by our EMS for Narcan. You would not have to maintain it. We get our Narcan free from MDHHS. You would not have to worry about the machine itself is very attractive. It's not, you'll see some of these repurposed, boxes. It's not one of those. It's a very professional looking vending machine, which costs nothing.
Go ahead and finish your comment.
Thank you. I appreciate you. So what we would like is a letter of intent. Every year, opioid funds are being released through the SARS, Strategic Opioid Response Teams. Mid-Michigan we're part of Region 5 PIHP, Med-State Health Network. They are releasing a grant for a complete purchase of one of these machines, which is upwards of $5,000 by the time it comes. The people that make it will deliver it, will install it, will ensure that it's the integrity of the machine. And then we have agencies around that will bring the Narcan and put that Narcan in there at no cost to CATA. So my hope is if you agree, we need a letter of intent by the 3rd of February to be able to apply for the SOAR money that's available. Again, this is $5,000 worth of equipment that CATA needs to do nothing about. And it's not going to attract, as many people are concerned, attract a population that may not be the population that you might want to have within your main facility. But this will be in service to the people that you do serve, the family, the loved ones, and those suffering from cancer. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Thank you for your comments. I think most board members have seen it, but there was also some written material distributed as well for you to review. So the board will review the materials and take the matter under advisement. Those are all the blue cards I've had submitted in advance this evening. Is there anyone else who wishes to offer public comment at this second and final opportunity tonight?
Not to be in the shadow of Commissioner Grebner, but I would like a moment, please, that I see, if you're okay with it. First.
Why not? Yeah.
Actually, in seriousness, Mr. Chairman, under my report, I wanted to wait until President Solis arrived, and I had one more item under my CEO report. And I wanted to make sure you were here. If you haven't met Steve Solis, the ATU president. During our last contract negotiations that were ratified, one of the terms was on an annual basis, we would sit down and talk about healthcare. This actually came out of a discussion we had with former city manager George Lahanas about creating a healthcare committee where both the active members and management are together, helping create decisions about that care. That means that we needed to open the contract and basically negotiate that term. I am happy to report to you that under Deputy CEO's leadership and the president's leadership, they've sat down and come to terms with a new program that both have embraced, but not to embarrass you, sir, or you, sir. the pride that I have in this document has led to the suggestion and implementation soon of a wellness program for both levels of care. That means that all CATA employees will have access to and will be incentivized at both levels to have a doctor's physical every year. And that is going to save lives there. And I think I'm beaming with pride that this was done without a lot of exterior influence. And I have invited ATU to take a little break. And then, as you know, this is a contract year. Let's keep the party going. So not to step on your toes, but if you would like to say something, I think you are due a victory lap. Thank you.
Hold on, I was gonna say, bring the mic over for you,
It's just
Steve.
taking this meeting over. I'm sorry.
This is good, by all means.
I apologize for my tardiness today. My mother's in the hospital and having serious trouble, so I apologize. I did want to make sure I got here to address everybody and what a monumental achievement we had just a little over a week ago. We came to terms and agreement on a wellness program that will, over the next few years, actually decrease the expense of maintaining the health of our workforce. At the same time, it will keep our workforce happier, healthier, and a better product on the street. And we did it very professionally with a lot of input and a lot of information from several sources. And I couldn't be prouder of how well everybody worked together. And I was very grateful to have an opportunity to be at that seat as a partner rather than bumping heads. That's a huge difference, and it's a welcome change. So
Thank you,
I
sir.
want to report to everybody here what happens when the minds are put together with a common goal. Greatness can be achieved. So thank you very much.
Thank
Your
you.
leadership.
Yeah. Steve, thank you for your leadership, and Brad, Andrew, and the administrative team, ATU and admin working together. It's a really positive report, and we're glad that you could make it this evening to help be a part of that. All right, let me ask one final time. Is there anyone who wishes to offer public comment at this opportunity? Did you have a comment?
No.
Brad, another?
No, sir.
All right.
No, I.
I think it was in the blue, the gentleman in the blue hat.
Eduardo.
Hopefully in the future, we'll get the new flyer bus, like including electric, hybrid, and diesel, including Nova, electric, hybrid, and diesel and everything. So, and there's a detour going on, Grand River and North and South Meridian Road Bridge is going to be closed. So I think Route 40 is going to detour big time. So it's going to be a mess up. Next year will be done in February in 2026. So
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to offer public comment at this second opportunity this evening?
I am the main greeter at my church at Penry Church of God. So when you see me there, I'll be greeting you as you come in. That's what I do. That's my job. That's what I do at the church. So if you want to see me, my name is Laura. Just to let you know. And Gar was a good friend of everyone here. Had to share that with you briefly.
Laura, thank you for your comment. Anyone else wish to offer public comment at this second opportunity this evening? All right, seeing none, then that concludes our business on our regular meeting agenda. So we will adjourn at 4:28 p.m. Let me just note for the board, we're going to take a brief technical interlude here to make sure the technology is ready for the retreat. And then as soon as folks are ready to go, we will get started with our retreat here momentarily. I will just note as a logistical note while that's happening, we intend to move through this without intermission. So if you need to use the facilities or get a drink of water or anything like that, feel free to take care of yourself during the course of the retreat or now if you would desire. But we're going to get started just as soon as IT is ready to go. Sure. Thank you. We appreciate you coming to the presentation and for all the materials. Thank you.
Now that you moved to Lansing, you have anything to say about George Johannes?
That was Brad.
I was gonna say, I said no.
I said, that was Brad that mentioned it.
No problem.
You know,
We do a little before I leave. Thank you.
okay, well, I guess he can leave. Okay. I just thought maybe it was the contrast.
Is that it? Oh, well, there's. Now there's something I have to comment on.
That's a smart man.
Yeah.
Are you following the charter commission conversations in Lansing at all?
No, I have not.
You're probably better for it. It's a little rough and tumble.
Your Grubner, this is your 60th retreat in a row? No.
I was like, wait,
We're not on camera yet.
The parameter was in a row. Is it 60? Yeah.
Oh.
I think they've only been doing this for like 33 or 35 years. So.
I would
I think
say
this
my
is-
very first year in this board, I think I started slightly before the retreat. I want to say, like, I don't exactly remember, but I think I started, I had like 1 or 2 meetings. And didn't really get prepped for what that was, and that's when the retreat used to be.
Dinner.
Well,
And
yes, dinner, but also,
Sprawl.
4 to 5 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I should have, I was like,
everybody got to vote on fuel prices.
yes,
yes,
yes, we did, used to vote on fuel
we did.
prices.
And we still can. Please,
We're all set.
if you would like to, please make that motion.
We insist.
No, I think I actually moved a couple of annual retreats when they engineered to get me off the board.
So that you didn't get the actual location when they moved the meeting and went to the tennis club?
Oh, I never did see the tennis club.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Oh, well, I've only met at the faculty at the university. Sandy and Deb worked very hard to get me booted off the CATA board. But it only lasted 2 years.
And then you came, you must have gone to the tennis club, because my first year, you've been on the board since I was. You were back on the board since I was.
I came back on the board and said.
Right,
And at that point,
thank you.
and everybody got myself a vote, so.
Yeah, so I started,
Keith Grover.
County Commissioner also.
you were my first meeting.
Oh.
That was my first meeting. But then we did do the retreat. I thought it was a retreat that year. Like my first year, the retreat was at,
Yeah.
like at the, right?
I think you took-
Oh, I thought that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. No.
Keep it going.
I met you.
Yeah, okay.
I thought maybe you actually moved to the,
No,
oh.
he's
I think a lot of.
to write some comment about.
He's making. He's making fun.
Oh,
I think.
oh, yes, I met you so many times.
All right, I think we are good to go. If folks want to back together.
Yes, sir.
All right, then, I will call to order the Capital Area Capital Area Transportation Authority Board of Directors retreat at 4:33 p.m. Welcome, everyone. And I will hand it over to Brad to introduce this evening's program.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For those of you that are new to this board, this is a once a year, essentially a double board meeting where we do a board required retreat. On the end of this meeting, we try to keep the first meeting short, and then we go through a pretty solid presentation. We've been doing this 6 years, and what we did is we changed the format to where you're going to hear directly from each of the department heads based on goals and objectives that this board set on a strategic plan level. You will see them talk about successes, challenges that we have, and looking forward into the future over the next year, expectation wise. As a reminder, this will only last about an hour and a half and we practice, so it's gonna go chop chop. As a reminder to the board, we've broken this up because the real core of this then comes down to the service that will be put on the street in the coming year. This is for the budget year that begins October 1 of this year, so FY 26. So then next month, what we've done, as we've done in the past, is that we have Jim come back in on the financial side and really get into the fun stuff and bring it home. So we want each of the directors to show their personality and how they apply this, and I let them go. And I'm very proud of what they've done. So if I could, Mr. Chairman, in the interest of time, if you could hold your questions to the end of the presentations, they will field the questions. I believe they're well prepared. And first up, if you're prepared, is Director of Operations, Todd Brooks.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to take a few minutes and talk to you about what operations has done over this last year. As you can see, our department's broken down between managers, admin assistants, supervisors, dispatchers, service reps. We do have 2 vacancies that we're currently looking for, 1 supervisor and 2 part-time service reps. Over the last year, with marketing and HR's help, we were able to hire and train 9 new operator classes, implement a roll-in process for new operators that was very successful. Our current headcount is 253. As a comparison, our fiscal year 25 budgeted number is 260. We also hired 2 external applicants for supervisor positions. We also hired 2 external applicants for service reps, and we had 2 dispatchers retire this last year. We had one of our supervisors transfer and become the ops assistant, and then 2 service reps were promoted to full-time dispatch positions. We've been able to continue our partnership with Lansing School District and provide transportation for the students. We did have a few challenges over 2024. But we've worked with LSD's admin to create solutions for anything that may have come up. We've had staff members who were able to attend leadership training both with MSU and with Lansing Community College. This is one we're really proud of. We had 1 supervisor and 1 driver receive a Citizen of the Year award by Lansing Police Department. So we're very proud of both of them. This is something else we're very proud of. We partnered with ATU this last fall to provide food for all the employees working a home MSU football game. So what does that mean? That means that my staff and ATU reached into their pockets, went out shopping for the food, prepared the food, packaged the food, handed the food out for 45 people every game, and then prepared the menu for the next game. So we're very proud of that partnership that we had with ATU. We had staff members receive training in payroll and work assignments, so we had redundancy in those areas. And then we had training that we conducted with our partners in maintenance, our partners with TransDev. We had a joint training session, so we were very proud of that. We had operators and staff members attend AOT this last summer. We had a staff member who took part in the Capital Area Airport disaster exercise. We had an operations personnel who served as a member on the CATA Safety Committee. One item that we talked about during our meetings was operator assault. You see up there that we had 5 over this last year, unfortunately. Now, fortunately, they were all minor. Nobody was seriously hurt. One item that we're doing in order to be proactive instead of reactive to this is security barriers and all the new buses that are ordered. We currently have 9 on the property right this minute. 8 of them are in 40-foot buses. 1 is in a 60-foot buses. And we're already finding out that they're becoming very, very popular with drivers who have late night runs. We also renewed the agreement with Bath Township for their student housing for the Route 26. And we continued providing holiday service, our limited holiday service. You may be aware that we provide that limited service on Easter, July 4th, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. This was our second full year of providing that service. We averaged 84 trips, had a 34% average cancellation rate. And of course, for our ATU partners, all their time was that time and a half. So on one side of the coin, yes, it was a more expensive service to provide. But there's another side to that coin. July 4th, the first year we had 24 rides going to dialysis. This year we had 26 rides. So I like to think that in some little way we were able to help people on their very difficult journey. We provided shuttle services whenever needed. We continued our partnership yet again with ATU on the boards, making them better, improving the work-life balance for all ATU members. Our community partnerships, we were able to assist with events such as Touch a Truck, the Juneteenth parade with a cooling bus and a parade bus. We participated in the holiday parades around the area, and we also provided service for the East Lansing Art Festival. And we continued our partnership with LFD, LPD, and all of the first responders in the area whenever they needed a warming or a cooling bus. We continued providing transportation for all the MSU home football, basketball, commencement services, and the homecoming parade. We provided a tour for the West Michigan Disability Network during their Employment for Life summer boot camp, which meant we went and picked up young adults who ranged from 16 to 24. We gave them a tour. We took them to our gateway. We went on campus. We drove by Sparty, and I was fortunate enough to hear who was an MSU hockey fan. I got to see their pictures. We took them back to Trainer. Our maintenance partners were kind enough to take them through the wash rack. We gave them a presentation, and then unfortunately we had to take them back. It was a fantastic day. They had tons of good questions. They loved the CATA gear that marketing was so nice to supply for them. It was a special event. That picture up there was the last thing that we did with that group. Everybody posed for one last picture. These were all special young adults. They were a blast to be around. So the triennial review, we'll have that this year. Some of the challenges that operations may face are things like, do operators provide the ramp when requested without questioning you? Are service animals allowed to board? And if so, are any questions asked of the passengers? Of course, you may know that we're only allowed to ask two very specific questions. Do we have contractor oversight? Meaning, do we have monthly meetings to ensure all the procedures are being followed? Yes, we do. Are we ADA, do we have an ADA complaint procedure? And can we show that we're following that with documentation? Yes, we can. So for operations, we have a very dynamic workplace. We have bowling parties, lug nuts. We do the Tri-County Office on Aging dinner. I was able to win one of the auctions this year, which just happened to be a certificate to, it was Peacock Road Family Farms, which is a hayride and a bonfire party for up to 30 people. So you can guess what I'm going to be reporting to you next year that my department did. We've had lunches, breakfast burrito Fridays, day trips, birthday recognitions, picture boards. We have summer parties, holiday parties. Why does that matter? Why is that even a big deal? It's a big deal because this department, this staff that I have, they care about each other. They work together. They help each other. They also remember what the chain of command is because they remember they still have an old Marine for a boss. These guys, what's cool is they take that positive feeling and they show it to ATU. You know what ATU does with it? They show it to the passengers. So it helps everything. So my feeling is, yes, this is very important. I'm very proud of my staff. I'm very proud of ATU and our relationship with them. Tomorrow, we're going to have a job fair. Guess who's going to be there supporting us? ATU. our AOT, the all operator training this coming summer. Guess who's going to be there helping us train? ATU. I'm very, very proud of that. We didn't just build back that relationship. We've made it even better than it was with ATU. That would be the end of my presentation unless I can ask or answer any questions.
Questions for Todd? Go ahead, Steve.
Yes.
You plan to repeat the disability day?
I sure hope so. It was a very, very special day. That was probably one of the most special things I've ever been involved in.
Bill?
You mentioned security incidents that are tracked. Do you track drug overdoses and incidents of that where a patient loses or a rider loses consciousness and requires medical assistance?
Operations does not, but our safety supervisor does for NTD reporting.
Any other questions for Todd? If not, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Mr. Chairman, next up is Dan for maintenance. I'm sorry, Dan Hodges. We got two Dan, sorry.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dan Hodges, Fleet Director for CATA for the last 6 years. All right, here's currently CATA's fleet makeup: 105 large fixed route buses, 34 25-foot small buses, and we also have 46 support vehicles, which are comprised of trucks, cars, and SUVs. We've also brought on 8 electric vehicles, mainly small SUVs for the fleet. And a note here is that of the 105 fixed route buses, half of those are hybrid electric. And all right, go ahead. Currently, in 2024, we experienced 5 first-class mechanic shortages, 1 utility employee, and we also transferred an employee from utility to mechanic helper. And we also have an opening for a shift supervisor. We experienced some of these vacancies through retirement. We had 1 mechanic pass away unexpectedly, and we had, I think, another mechanic just left the agency. All right, in 2024, we conducted a lot of training for the mechanics in the utility department. We conducted 11 classes overall throughout the year. We trained 46 CATA mechanics. We also trained 23 other visiting mechanics from around the state of Michigan, like Ann Arbor, Flint, Grand Rapids, and so on. We also conducted 1 electric vehicle training course, and we have more of those scheduled for this year. We also conducted 3 safety classes, which involved 29 maintenance employees. Some of them were in facility maintenance. We also sent 2 mechanics off property to Ann Arbor Transit for training, which was a nice helper there. We also trained 1 new mechanic helper, and we also brought on 3 new utility employees. All right, for 2024, this is for fleet-wise, this is what we ordered and received. We received 8 electric vehicle car SUV. We also received 3 hybrid electric SUVs, facility maintenance trucks, 2 facility maintenance truck, fleet maintenance truck, 1, 25-foot small cutaway buses, 9, minivans for Spectran, 5, and 3 facility floor scrubbers. Also, we ordered 9 hybrid electric 40-foot buses, and we're expecting them in 2026. All right, we also conducted an auction. We disposed of 10 Spectran minivans, 7 used cutaway buses, 4 40-foot transit buses, and 1 SUV, Chevrolet Tahoe. All right, we're up to 2025. What we're going to do, we expect to receive 5 new small cutaway buses, 8 new Spectran minivans, 3 large electric vehicles for Transdev, and 3 gasoline for Transdev. We're going to get one electric 40-foot New Flyer bus and one electric 40-foot Gillig bus and infrastructure. Upcoming orders and goals. We expect to order one 29-foot shopping bus. We also expect to complete a FTA triennial audit, complete an inventory audit, hire a maintenance supervisor, train new mechanic helpers who are transitioning internally from utility to mechanics, and expect to recruit 5 first-class mechanics, and we expect to continue mechanic training and safety training. All right, last but not least, the FTA triennial review. In my career, I've been through 16 of these. Well, this particular one, we are offering the federal government proof that we procure vehicles that require less maintenance, that we analyze fleet fluids regularly, we pursue manufacturing warranty claims, we are adhering to maintenance intervals, and continuing oversight of paratransit service contractors. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dan. Questions for board members on Dan's report? Go ahead, Steve.
Yes, sir. The small cutout vans, what is their life cycle? I mean, what that and built into your formula?
Federal government says 40 years. 25 foot, 7 years. 40 foot, 12 years.
Okay.
All right.
We couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry. A van is normally 4 years. A carway bus, 7 years. And a 40-foot bus, 12 years. Okay.
And we achieve that?
Yes.
Go ahead, Shanna, and then Jack.
You mentioned that we had one EV mechanic training last year and more scheduled this year. How many of those are we doing this year? And is that kind of staff wide or mechanics wide, or are we kind of specializing certain, like some people in that area?
Yeah, great question. We had one, we're going to schedule one in February as well. We're trying to meet with all the mechanics on different shifts. So you have days, afternoons, midnights, weekends, that kind of stuff. But the training's free, and we'll get through all of them this year.
Go ahead, Jack.
The training that we're providing mechanics from other authorities, do they come here? Is that just a matter of logistics, or is it the substance of the training that we offer that's particularly interesting? Or just if you could speak a little bit to the kind of cross authority training of mechanics.
Good question. Transit systems our size normally don't have a training department. When we buy vehicles, we purchase training. So it's put on by the manufacturers, so it's built into the cost of the vehicles. We try to keep open communication between other transit systems around the state that are experiencing problems or purchasing similar vehicles. Try to promote your communication and problem solving. So that's kind of what we've been doing.
If I could add on to embarrass Dan a little bit, because I always look forward to Dan's presentation because he's so humble about it. When I started back in 2018, we had to ground 24 buses because they didn't meet US DOT inspection. We brought Dan aboard, and over the last several years has built that department into not only a very effective, safe operating department, but this training request came from ATU. We sat down with them and had this discussion, and that training brings in the manufacturers, and they want this specialized service. In fact, one of our lead mechanics has rebuilt hybrids to the point where I'm speaking out of my wheelhouse here, but Don Bean's expertise in rebuilding now, because of this training, is unprecedented. And so we've become the shop to come and check things out. How's that, Dan?
Yeah, that's very good. What Brad's I trained you well.
That's it.
Thank you, Dan. You're welcome. All right, so Brad, go ahead.
Sorry for the extra. I had to bring Dan up. Okay, now, Marketing and Customer Service Director Lolo Robinson. Lolo, you gotta bring that mic down a little bit.
I don't want to hold it. Okay. So throughout fiscal 2024, CATA's marketing and customer experience departments contributed to regional mobility by launching 2 media events and ride-alongs, one for the Charlotte Connector and the other a press conference for the Grand Ledge Connector. And we worked on the branding for CATA rides, including the creation of a logo, complete with brand standards and vehicle wrap designs. And to support CATA's goal to achieve customer experience excellence, last fiscal year, we hosted our second full year of listening bus sessions, generating 180 comment cards over 12 sessions and 20 fixed routes. This was a massive increase in rider feedback and participation. Our advocacy and outreach program resulted in the distribution of 1,080 after-school meals to students, 391 peer recovery engagements, 39 Narcan kit deployments, and 791 bus pass distributions. We successfully completed our website content accessibility guidelines and usability audit, as well as a social and print media audit, identifying issues that need to be mitigated to ensure AAA compliance, which will pave the road for a comprehensive website overhaul. We planned and promoted our free rides campaign for the presidential and state primaries, the May special election, and for the first time ever here at CATA, or in the state, early voting. And CATA, E-Tran, and Clinton all participated. We launched Transit App's automatic detour detection feature to address major construction projects on MSU's campus, and that improved rider communication and the reliability of the information related to routes and detours that we disseminated. We worked with IT to prepare for and complete the Masabi and Transit app integration to boost ticket sales. We contracted with a vending products and services provider and installed vending machines at the downtown CTC, the Gateway, the admin building, and at E-Tran. And we launched Language Line to provide non and limited English-speaking writers live language translations in 240 languages plus American Sign Language. Working again with IT, we submitted and approved our contactless payment smart card design and color preference. Leading up to the November 5 general election, we implemented our free rides to the polls campaign and coordinated with the East Lansing City Clerk and WKAR, which was MSU's official polling site, and we encouraged student registration, planning, and early voting. Our efforts to achieve organizational strength included extensive usability and accessibility testing of phase 1 of our contactless payment app, including pass setup, content creation, copywriting, and promotion planning. We are working with the policy committee to provide an update on our onboard advertising policy as we transition from year 3 to year 4 of our 5-year contract. Sales have steadily improved. An update will be presented to the board at the February meeting. The American Advertising Federation awarded CATA's postcard ridership campaign a silver Addy in the integrated ad campaign category and a gold Addy for the multiple out-of-home installations category. And Addy is the advertising industry's largest creative competition, which receives nearly 35,000 entries every year. Our National Safe Place program was presented during all operator training to prepare for its launch. Our Transit to Trails survey asked riders what amenities were desired at CATA bus stops. The survey generated 910 responses and complemented planning's application to the Michigan Shared Streets and Spaces grant program. We released a website request for proposal and received 19 responses. For community partnership, CATA donated 36,361 passes to 60 service agencies with a total value of over $253,000. We sponsored 59 nonprofit organizations and local programs totaling more than $148,000. And the Friends of the Lansing Regional Trails will receive $10,000 over the next 3 years for our sponsorship at trail access points located in areas of perpetual poverty. Each trail access point near 5 bus stops will include a bus shelter, bike repair station, bike loop, and wayfinding signs. CATA has already sponsored the McGuire Park Trailhead at Jolly and Aurelius Roads. 4 additional $2,000 sponsorships will now be added. We participated in the Martin Luther King Commission's inaugural March on the Capitol, which honored the August 28, 1963 March on Washington. CATA spearheaded the campaign brand creation. The event included voter registration, the movie Wakanda Forever on the Capitol lawn, and a symbolic march on Michigan Avenue to the Capitol. We also provided transit cards with images of iconic figures from the 1963 march. In 2025, we would like to wrap a bus and install cards to convert the bus into a museum on wheels. We partnered with Impression 5 Science Center to promote the Capital City River Run. That's a fundraiser, and also the Barbie You Can Be Anything exhibit. CATA contributed to a dynamic workplace by sponsoring and internally promoting numerous community events, inviting participation and representation among our employees. And looking at the year ahead, for regional mobility, we are ready to launch our promotional campaign for CATA's microtransit service, and we've completed our transit app service integration, which will launch January 27th. We will support E-Trans Regional Mobility Plan and Next Steps as adopted in November last year by E-Trans Board of Directors. For customer experience excellence, we completed our installation of free period products in public facility restrooms. We are ready to launch phase 2 of our contactless payment smart cards promotion, and we are gearing up for phase 3, promoting smart card availability in vending machines. As soon as the ground thaws, we will promote our Transit to Trails campaign and install trailhead sponsor signs along our trail access points. We're working with the Lansing EDC and the MLK Corridor Improvement Authority to display student and public art in 3 bus shelter ad boxes. Currently, we use stock art and photography or fill ad boxes with CATA promotional materials. To achieve organizational strength, we are working with our policy committee to consider updates to policy 205 regarding the display of items on CATA property and vehicles, more commonly referred to as our advertising policy, and our current list of exclusions to ensure that those noted still meet the board's needs and expectations. A full update, again, will be presented during the February board meeting. Additionally, next steps for our website development, design, and maintenance project are outlined below with a contract start date anticipated in April. We continue to convert documents and forms to accessible formats for screen readers, and we will initiate our language line website proxy localization, which will mirror content and display it in the language of user's choice. We're posting in buses updated Title VI notices to facilitate rider awareness and understanding, including information about language line. We're also preparing for our 2025 triennial review. This year, we will implement a system-wide Title VI survey. We've got plans to host a community resource summit where we'll invite community partners and service agencies to identify and address resource gaps on behalf of our homeless neighbors and underserved populations. And as part of our dynamic workplace efforts, CATA promoted Skylar Brown from customer experience team lead to supervisor, a career opportunity she never dreamed was possible. Her promotion reflects CATA's across-the-board commitment to the advancement of our diverse workforce so that historically marginalized individuals recognize the opportunities at CATA to meet their full potential. Additionally, we updated our marketing specialist job description to digital accessibility specialist, emphasizing our commitment to accessibility and our ability to exceed industry standards. Thank you.
Thanks, Lolo. Questions for Lolo on her presentation? Steve?
Can you explain what Title VI covers?
Absolutely. The area that I oversee is primarily to address complaints related to the possibility of discrimination and denial of service on the basis of race, color, or national origin. It does cover a lot of other elements, including limited English and non-English speaking populations, low income areas, and that sort of thing.
Okay.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Brett?
Thank you, Lolo. Thank you, sir.
I got somewhere else.
Take care. We'll
Thanks,
get you
Keith.
a copy of the presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
It was nice meeting everybody.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks, Keith. Welcome.
Next up, Marcia Brown, Director of Human Resources. Marcia, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll go ahead and get started. The HR department is comprised of 5 employees, including myself. Deborah Jasper is my HR manager. Jay Harvey is HR generalist. Monique Ellison is my recruitment coordinator, and Letitia Johnson is the HR administrative assistant. The primary focus of the Human Resources Department is to support CATA by ensuring that the workforce is diverse and skilled and provided with the tools that they need to be successful. CATA currently has 390 active employees, and as you can see, 253 bus operators, which is 65% of our workforce. Last year, we hired 45 bus operators and scheduled 9 new operator training classes. In 2024, the retention rate was 84%, and the year prior, it was 79%. So that's pretty good news for us. Key accomplishments under recruitment and hiring, job fairs and open interviews. We hosted 3 job fairs at the East Lansing Marriott last year in January, March, and September, and had a total of 124 attendees. We held open interviews at CATA's administration building. The open interviews are basically walk-in interviews where we interview candidates on the spot. So we did that every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we had a total of 188 open interviews. We hired 29 of those candidates. So that's basically about 15%. Key accomplishments under compensation and benefits, administrative wages increases were issued in October. The 4th and final sign-in bonus was issued in May for ATU members. And during open enrollment, we were able to add more supplemental insurance policies to our benefits package, voluntary life insurance, critical illness, and hospital indemnity and accident. Key accomplishments under policies and procedures. My HR team and I recently updated the Administrative Employee Guidebook. It's currently being reviewed by the Deputy CEO and CEO, and we hope to send it off for publishing soon. The guidebook is crucial because it acts as a central document that outlines CATA's policies and ensures consistency in how we treat our employees. It helps protect the company from legal issues by clearly defining workplace guidelines, and the guidebook was last updated in 2012. I also created a new policy for the Earned Sick Time Act, which is effective February 21. The Earned Sick Time Act will allow employees to earn 1 hour of sick time for every 30 hours worked. Employers may limit annual use to no more than 72 hours. Employees may use the time for mental or physical illness or injury for themselves or their family members. The time off can be used for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, or for meetings at their child's school or place of care. A key accomplishment in training and development, we provided sexual and discriminatory harassment training and reviewed our drug and alcohol policy at our annual all operator training, which was held this summer. We also worked with LCC's Business and Community Institute to provide effective leadership training to our future leaders. Effective leadership training is tailored toward organizations seeking advanced leadership training and covers such topics as workplace behavior and communication styles, driving change, setting goals, attitudes, coaching, and trust. It's important to note that we currently have 13 supervisors in the operations department, 7 of which were promoted from within. Also, the operations manager started out as a bus driver as well. And this leadership training has benefited each and every one of them. Accomplishments with employee engagement. I meet weekly with the union president, Steve Solis, or one of his team members to go over any employee issues they may have. And this is a way that we're able to resolve issues pretty quickly. We also just completed medical participation fees negotiations, as Brad mentioned earlier, and both sides were pleased with the results. The Michigan Career Quest Career Day is an event that was created by Michigan Works. And high school and middle school students are there, and we help them kind of understand about the jobs that are offered in the region. On Veterans Day, we honor our vets by providing them with a letter of appreciation, a pin which represents the branch of service, and we add time off to their banks. Future HR plans include adding more training and development programs for future leaders to introduce new learning pathways to upskill employees. I'd also like to add more leadership development, customer service, and safety training. We want to see internal mobility and more promoting from within. Succession planning is important to CATA because it's important to identify and nurture future leaders. Succession planning is important to CATA. It's important to identify and nurture those leaders. And last year, CATA hired 33 administrative employees. Our overall turnover rate for 2024 was 19%. And the overall turnover rate for 2023 was 19% as well. We want to continue to focus on talent acquisition and retention by ensuring that our wages and benefits are competitive as well. Another project is that we are preparing for the triennial review. The triennial review is a process in which a public transportation authority undergoes an evaluation every 3 years to assess its compliance with federal regulations and requirements related to the receipt of federal funding. HR is responsible for compliance of equal employment opportunity, drug and alcohol testing, and drug-free workplace. I have a couple more slides here because I'm the chair of CATA's DEI Task Force Committee. I'm going to go ahead and go over our year in review. Some of the accomplishments that the DEI committee has had is that we are an employee-led and employee-driven committee with active employees. Basically, we have 10 to 20 members that attend each meeting monthly, and they plan out the topics that they want to discuss or the activities that they want to do. We've participated in the African American Pride Parade and LGBTQ parade as well. We've volunteered at the Greater Lansing Food Bank and prepared weekend survival kits for children with food insecurities. We have addressed several important topics like civility at work, mental health, and Michigan's disability rights. DEI training is important because it helps create a more inclusive workplace culture where employees can feel valued and respected. But the most important accomplishment is that the DEI Task Force Committee was able to sustain during challenging times. A lot of U.S. companies are pulling back on diversity initiatives, but our committee has been strong since June 2020. And I'd like to thank the board and our CEO, because if we would not be able to do this without the buy-in from you all. Thank you. Future plans for the diversity DEI committee is conducting a diversity and culture survey. These surveys provide a safe space for employees to share feedback about the company culture, allows the organization to gather valuable insights about their employees' perceptions and experiences, and helps the organization to identify areas of improvement. And I would like to provide diversity, equity, and inclusion training for the entire organization. The goal is to build an inclusive organization where each employee is inspired to be true to themselves while at work. This is vital to building a dynamic workplace. And this concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Questions for Marcia on her report?
Thank you.
Sina, thank you very much. Brad?
Now to the fun stuff. Andrew, would you like to come up and talk about facilities? So fun we have at the executive office.
Good evening, everyone. Andrew Brisky. I work with Norm Van Alstine, who is our facilities manager. We'll get right into our workplace dynamic. We have numerous facilities employees who oversee all of the CATA facilities. They are not designated to one particular building. Norm is our facilities manager with 21 plus years of service. We also have our lead custodian with over 20 years of service. We see him there in the top right, Jeff Pearl. Sign and shelter technician has over 6 years of service. That's an interesting position because this person is responsible for overseeing our bus stops, but also ensuring that bus stops that need to be improved are done so within not only the city and local regulations, but also with concern for ADA requirements, concrete slopes, things like that. He actually comes to us from the concrete construction industry. Facilities tech. Kyle has been with us for a year, doing a great job. A lot of the kind of handyman work, if you will, around the facilities without calling contractors. He's able to get a lot done. And then very proud of our 3 facilities and grounds folks who are in charge with over 1,600 bus stops, keeping them clean, replacing glass and shelters, removing snow, and delivering paper bus schedules throughout the community. The department manages over 100 procurements, not just for facilities, but for all facilities related tasks. That accounts for over 100 different procurements of not just products, but also services, as you can imagine. That leads to a responsible need for managing vendor relationships and keeping CATA as a very positively viewed client in the community. As I mentioned, our facilities team is responsible for servicing all the bus stops. That includes maintaining numerous stops with within not only the CATA network, but also helping with E-Tran. They were instrumental in helping get the stops established for the Grand Ledge connector, as well as the Charlotte connector. And they also oversee, as you see in the photo there, our Delta Township regional transfer stop at the Walmart, whereby CATA Route 3 customers can transfer to the 2 E-Tran services, as well as general demand response on E-Tran. We are proud of providing safe bus stops for our customers. They are out there right now as we speak, ensuring that they are salted and cleared, especially at our 152 shelters, but they are also checking all 1,600 stops to ensure accessibility. No small task. And as I mentioned, they're also distributing paper schedules and maps throughout the community. In the photos you see on the screen here to your right, both are at our Tranor headquarters. And wanted to point out we added 14 accessible parking spaces for employees. We also added an expected parent space at the bottom right there. We've improved building security at our CTC by adding card access to all the doors. And I'm pleased to report that this coming spring, perhaps summer, there will be 4 employee charging stations, for employees in the employee lot. So 4 EV charging spaces are coming this spring. Facilities continues to support ongoing projects and objectives, including working with planning on ensuring that new shelters go up in a timely fashion. This past year, we've installed 16, and we're looking to do many more in the coming year. And nice segue there. We are looking at an old bus stop to your left. Andy Pocklington goes out at the direction of planning, and we take a look at the stops. If we know that the concrete needs to be replaced, it's clearly marked, and our third-party contractor will go in and make the repairs or replace as necessary. The drawings that you see on the right side of your screen, those are all done in-house. We do not have to pay a vendor to do any drawing work for our bus stops. Okay, the acquisition of the former Greyhound station. We are really excited about this project. It's going to enrich employee engagement. We are going to be reaching out to all departments for their input. It will lead to new offices for administrative staff, a new community resource center, and hopefully pretty soon, a new board meeting space. These photos are pretty interesting here. as we work to maintain a safe and healthy work environment. All 3 photos are of the CTC. 26-year-old roof was replaced, but it was not a complete tear off. It was we used a new technology called fluid application. Essentially, they sand down all the rough spots, fill any of the holes, and it's essentially a liquid polymer. So it's very environmentally friendly. It reduces waste, and it results in a 20-year lifespan product. At the Capital Area Multimodal Gateway, we're working with Amtrak to raise the passenger platform up 8 inches. As I'm sure some of you know, working with the railroads can be daunting and time consuming. Hence the reason we are anticipating construction in spring of 26. But I know Norm met with Amtrak today and that project is moving along. We will have additional training for staff, continue to make sure that our decisions are environmentally conscious and responsible, while also ensuring fiscal responsibility. We will continue to promote best practices for health, safety, and welfare. And of course, we will ensure our compliance with local, state, and federal guidelines for the areas of stormwater protection, pollution prevention through the Ingham County Health Department, as well as upcoming triennial guidelines for the FTA. At the facilities, we will continue to improve accessibility, maintain assets and records for the triennial review process, ensure preventative maintenance requirements are met so that we not only meet but extend our useful life of all assets so that we really get our money's worth out of them. We will lower the downtime and repair costs through preventative maintenance, and we look forward to fostering positive relationships with our vendors and community advocates as we go forward into the new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Questions for Andrew, Shanna, and then Phil?
Andrew, can you talk a little bit about on the bus shelters, the approach we've been taking with like sponsorship, whether that's businesses that those sit in front of, and sort of what did that look like this year? What do the prospects of that look like in coming years? Has that grown? Has that tapered off?
So I'd be happy to take an approach at answering that, but I can tell you facilities doesn't engage so much with the businesses or the people near the stops. That's really a function of planning.
Okay.
And I know Dustin will touch on that in a moment.
Then
Brad, is there anything you think from a facilities point I'm leaving out?
Only that knowing Dustin's presentation, I know he addresses that and we'll cover it in his presentation.
Okay.
But yes, we're
Okay.
still doing it.
Okay.
Phil?
You mentioned that you have 4 EV charging stations for the staff. How is that metered or charged? Or is there a free benefit to employees?
Thank you. I appreciate the question. So just to repeat, the question is how will they be benefited and will they be free to the employees, correct? So the plan right now is they are going to come right off the right of way from Lansing Board of Water and Light on Tranter Street. They will be installed 4 of them right in the very southwest corner of the lot. And as of right now, the intent is for them to be free to employees.
It's a considerable benefit. A full charge can be cost, good rates can cost between $20 and $30 per charge, per vehicle per night.
Indeed, but we see it as a mutual benefit. It's not only good for the environment, but they're coming to work. They're working for us, delivering good service. It is something that we would be proud to provide. But admittedly, we're in the earliest stages of getting those installed and procured. But yes, more to come on that, I'm sure.
Thank you for your presentation, Andrew. Brett?
The only comment that I know Andrew covers facilities and Norm and his crew are on the front lines most of the time with drivers and mechanics and want to give them a shout out. They have the job of picking up the phone when the heater goes out. The boiler went out this week and it's at the bus stops, it cleared off when it snows. And so managing public facilities, which include bus stops. And now that we bought another building, they are working their tail off right now. Not that everybody else isn't, but with them out doing their bus stop cleaning right now, wanted to say thank you to them as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Good afternoon again, everybody. As far as regional mobility, I wanted to mention Route 80 and 81, otherwise known in other slide presentations as the Charlotte Connector and the Grand Ledge Connector. You go, what does IT have to do with that? Well, in all of our fixed route buses, we have what's called an AVL system. It's kind of the brains of the bus, but it does all the tracking, all the monitoring, all the communication with things like the transit app, things and other applications like that. When we wanted to do the Charlotte connector, there really wasn't a mechanism for using a variety of buses without having them all equipped with AVL systems. So we partnered with E-Tran and specifically their head of maintenance, Chris Lake, to come up with kind of a bus in a box concept. It was all of the equipment, all the electronics necessary to run a fixed route or a connector route bus and have it show up so that people could know where the bus is, know if it's on time, be able to catch the bus. And it was in a compact footprint that was able to be plugged into a power adapter. It used to be a cigarette lighter adapter in the vehicle, so that no matter what vehicle they had running it, whether it was a van or a different bus, any particular day, it could move. And then we did the same thing for the Grand Ledge connector. So it was a little bit of technology problem solving and interdepartmental, interagency working together. So we had a good time with that, and we were glad that we could actually be successful with that. So on the customer excellence side, we had an aging PA system at the CTC, hadn't been replaced for probably about 16, 17 years, which is about 6 or 7 years longer than it should have gone. Weren't experiencing any problems, but we wanted to be proactive reactively and replace that system. So we replaced it, had no hiccups, no issues. We also launched, as Lolo mentioned, the CATA mobile pay app in October and the transit app ticketing launch a few days later. This was our contactless payment rollout, phase 1. I'm happy to report we've got readers on our vehicles. There is increased use. I'm seeing a steady increase constantly in the use of both apps, whether it's the CATA mobile pay app, the transit app. More and more people are hearing about it. And I'm looking forward to what we're going to be doing here in the next few months. From an organizational strength standpoint, we performed a Fuel Master upgrade. Fuel Master is the software we use to monitor our fuel usage, all the information about the buses, make sure we're getting mileage in so that maintenance can perform preventative maintenance, all that kind of information. We did routine laptop desktop replacements. We replaced the wireless network at all of our buildings. We did a significant network firewall upgrade on April 20th. If you think of a computer network as the nervous system of the body, we kind of replaced the entire spinal column and a little bit of the brain. It was a significant upgrade. It took a lot of planning. Want to thank Ryan Larson, our IT manager, Scott Jensen, our network and server administrator, number of external consultants that helped to pull that off. An organization like CATA doesn't have a lot of downtime available. Service usually ends between 2 and 3 in the morning and picks up again just before 5 a.m. So as far as trying to get, people in the door. So this was a significant lift. Back one, please. There we go. We upgraded the internet at the CAMG. That was a challenge because of all the railroad tracks on every side of that building, but we got that done. We survived the CrowdStrike update. I'm not sure if many of you remember having a number of organizations shut down for days or weeks. Frankly, I'm very proud of our response to that. While it was a sleepless night for myself, Ryan, Scott, and a number of other IT staff members, by the time staff came in the morning, most of them didn't even know that something had happened until we pointed them to the news articles about all the other organizations around the world having problems with the same software. Fortunately, we had a good partnership with operations, dispatch, letting us know as soon as there was an issue. We were able to hop on it quickly, become aware of what exactly was going on, because in the first half hour, I got to tell you, I was pretty nervous not knowing that there was a specific outage like that and wondering what was going on. It was a little comforting to know the rest of the world was struggling with it as well, and it wasn't just me. But in spite of the sleepless night, very proud of the staff's response, very proud of the way CATA responded overall. Radio migration to the MPS CS. And I skipped the Trapeze database upgrade or maintenance. That's kind of boring, but very important to do regularly. Radio migration, the MPS CS, we completed that project. I look back at my calendar, and I think I started meetings for those January of 2022. So it was a long project, but we are now completely onto the MPS CS. Everything's running well. Very happy to be there and have the ability to reach out to other organizations and collaborate with them as we need to on those using those radios. And we continue to move forward in IT in general. New backup system that we implemented September of 24. We also completed a final phase of two-factor authentication. This is a security upgrade recommended by insurance companies and other people. It's just good practice. We've upgraded the AVL system on the buses, the fixed route buses. Again, kind of gave it an IQ boost, if you will. If you think about the AVL system as the brains of the fixed route buses. We replaced the modems in all of our fixed route vehicles. We replaced all the tablets in our paratransit vehicles. And we added 2 new staff members, replacements. Calvin Franklin joined us from the customer experience team. Very happy to have him and be able to grow an IT technician internally. And Andrew Ellison joined us new to CATA. Looking ahead, we're looking forward to continue work with E-Tran to support regional mobility, easy for me to say, and work to support whatever those next steps may be. We're also looking forward to contactless payment phase 2. Right now, you have to use one of the apps, the transit app or the mobile pay app, to buy tickets in advance. Phase 2 will be able to use the credit card or CATA card, items like that, or Google Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, everyone's pay, to scan using their phone without having to buy something in advance. It's just another step to try to make things more accessible for people, make it easier to use, easier to ride. Vehicle cameras, pilot completion. We look to wrap up the technical side of that the same time the board is wrapping up the policy side of that, hopefully next month, and get those going. We're also working on upgrading our paratransit website and apps, kind of the back end engine for both of those to be more accessible, in conjunction with marketing, working on the website upgrade and making that more accessible. We want to make sure that we have the best product available. Again, accessibility is key. And finally, phase 3 of contactless payment will be the ticket vending machines that we put in a number of places, our main hubs, so that people will be able to take and convert cash onto card. There are other ways to do it as well, with lots of local retailers and things like that, but this will be kind of the final phase of hardware installation. And after that, it's just working on making sure we get the message out there and people are using the system. We are implementing turn-by-turn directions for our fixed route vehicles. Not all of our drivers have driven with us for 30 years and know every route by heart. This is something that will help us with newer drivers, so that they, instead of looking at paper directions, they'll be able to use the display that is available to the drivers to get turn-by-turn directions, either visually or audio announcements as far as those turns go. We will continue to do laptop and desktop refreshes, server upgrades, security improvements, which I could talk about, but I don't want to talk about here in public. I prefer to keep all those security upgrades hidden so that no one can figure out what the flaws are. There's always flaws, but we also will do a lot of IT cross training. We've had a lot of projects this year. We have bitten off more than we can chew, and we've done a pretty good job, I think, chewing it. But the one place where we need to improve at this point going forward this next year is cross training. So it's not just the project lead who knows everything about the system. We all need to know about it. And then beyond that, further training out into CATA in general. And finally, we also plan on doing a phone system migration to the cloud here this year. Just again, improving accessibility, making sure that if there are any phone issues that are localized to our physical area, we're not out of service. We've got other options that are easy to implement and keep us up. Finally, our downtown headquarters. While I'm excited for the space, there's a lot of IT work that goes into bringing up a new building, including in getting an internet connection, servers, networking switches, wireless networking. There's a bunch of cameras to install. There's a lot of work to do. So the good news is the building is in excellent shape, and it's an excellent platform for us to be able to do our technical work. So I'm actually looking forward to it. Sometimes the buildings that are old, I kind of cringe. I don't want to. I look at all the work and go, I don't want to. This is an ugly building as far as tech, but this is a good building, and I'm looking forward to this work. Any questions?
Questions for Dan on his presentation? All right. Thanks, Dan. Fred?
We've got a little unique approach here this year. I've asked Jim to do a very quick couple of slides because before we get into service and planning and putting the service out there, we want to have Jim kind of set the stage and give us a dose of reality on revenue and kind of bring us back to the budget where we are and where we're going before we talk about what we're going to do. Jim, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks. Good evening, everybody. And again, this is going to be really quick. You're going to hear from me in detail next month. But just trying to teeing up Dustin here is what we're going for. Okay, so 2024 was really strong from an operating income perspective. Our revenues were over $73 million and net operating income of $11 million. Why was it so good? If you look at some of our key operating revenues, MDOT revenue that we get for urban operating, that 33.85%, for those of you who are new, that's for every dollar of eligible expenses that CATA gets, MDOT reimbursed us in fiscal 2024, 33.85 cents. So that generated $20.6 million of revenue for us. In addition, back at the beginning of the COVID issue, we received 3 different pots of money totaling a little over $60 million. We've been spending that down. In fiscal 2024, we used 13.4 million of that. So that's the reason why our revenues were so strong in fiscal 2024. For 2025, you can see the MDOT, this 2025 number is much more historically normal for MDOT. We're at 29.15% reimbursement. We have $15.1 million of COVID money left. FTA has asked us to expend it all this year, and we're going to do that. So what does it mean for 26? MDOT has, we are in the middle of doing our annual application with MDOT. They are telling us we are going to be reimbursed for 26 at 26.04%. And so each percent for CATA represents about $600,000 of revenue. So you can see the difference from 24 to 26, what we're looking at. And again, the COVID monies will be fully expended in 26. So we've done really well during the COVID period of kind of socking our money away. We've been talking about this for years. We've known this was coming. We've been able to build up some reserves. Next slide, please. This is the exact slide that was in last year's presentation. You'll see something similar to this next month, but I think it does a good job of just laying out. You get the blue line crossing over the orange line, and we're at 26, and we're here. We've talked about that cliff, and now we're at the cliff. So again, we've done a good job of building up our reserves, but just letting you know what we're looking at from a revenue picture going forward, and giving you some context for what Dustin's going to bring up next.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Questions? Go ahead.
Why is the MDOT match reduced?
So it's done at the legislative level every year. They determine what they're going to allocate to public transportation, and that's what.
Steve?
I'm sorry, Chelsea, they do a, sorry, Jim, they do a line item for everybody in the state. So as revenues increase down in Detroit and as budgets grow, the pie and the percentage gets smaller. So unless they supplement it, that's why the regional transportation idea is so important, because you have multiple agencies all fighting and competing for the same money. Thank you.
Steve?
I guess I wanted to add the clarification that the 2026 budget is not set yet. And there are other local transit agencies out there and support groups lobbying for less of a cut.
Yeah, to his point, they told us it was going to be 26% last year. It turned out to be 29%. We've reached out on that, and they say, hey, we really, really mean it this time. It's going to be 26%. So that was my specific question to Brad is, hey, do they mean it?
Be happy to comment on that. And you are correct. In fact, we are not only involved in that lobbying effort. I know the chairman and other of you are, all three agencies in the region are. Our union has spoken at the legislature. It is merely a caution flag as we move into the budget process, that we reiterate where we were last year, this year, and we are, and I appreciate your work on this, Jim, is that we are prepared flexibly to go either direction so that we don't have to start shutting down service like some agencies are going to be facing.
Thanks, Jim. I want to quickly underline before we hand it over to Dustin, just a note of appreciation for staff about the cautious and conservative approach that is taken on this issue. We'll have a lot more conversation about this in the future, but if you follow transit agency news from around the country, we are in a I would much rather be in our position with our reserve and our trajectory than a lot of the agencies around the country and how they have rebounded or not from COVID and the fiscal challenges they are facing. So that's in large part due to the staff's leadership and Jim, your work. And I just want to say it's appreciated.
We frankly took this approach of we want to share with you and be transparent with all of our challenges. Look at all the neat things we're doing and following the board leadership goals. And all of a sudden we don't have any money, and it didn't make sense to do that. So we're trying to tie it together that we've got flexibility to go either left or right. And Dustin, please tell us how we do that.
Thank you all. So again, I'm Dustin Hagford. I'm the Director of Planning and Development here at CATA. So again, it's important to know that the financial future is questionable, but we obviously want to keep working towards those goals that our board sets out for us. So when it comes to a regional perspective, this last year, we did see that continued increase in the Route 3 ridership, over 25% since we implemented. And a lot of those people are going shopping, and a lot of those people are going to work from our service area to those jobs. And we know that because we did our Route 3 survey on board this past year as well. We've also launched our 5310 call for projects, which our goal is to partner with local nonprofit agencies who may be able to bring additional ADA or persons with disability services to the region, utilizing some federal funding that we have for that. And we assisted our partners at E-Tran for their connector routes, as it's been discussed earlier with that Grand Ledge and Charlotte connection, further expanding that regional mobility around here. We've, as Lolo mentioned, we launched our CATA Rides program. That was a soft launch. And we are doing those through the 3 turnkey zones, partnering with Via Transportation. That's in downtown Lansing, Delta Township, and the MSU Airport. And ultimately, that's to get people to those jobs or destinations that maybe fixed route wasn't previously connecting to. With our community, with our customer experience excellence, we are continuously improving our amenities in our region. Like Andrew mentioned, we did do 16 shelter upgrades. Those are to existing shelters. So that's over 10% of our entire shelter log in our region. We also did 8 new bench locations, and we ordered 7 shelters that are for new locations. Now, those shelters came in at the end of December, so unfortunately, we weren't able to get those installed before the weather changed. We did get the concrete in, though, so as long as weather is permitting, we're able to get those new locations installed as well. From our organizational strength, we continue to improve since the COVID-19 pandemic. And again, we know that transit and our trips look very different than they did before the pandemic. So we continue to build on that with 8.5 million rides on fixed route, and on paratransit, 380,000 rides. And to make note, in the month of October, fixed route actually saw over 1 million rides in that month alone, which is the first time since March of 2020. So then understanding that how our ridership is changing, when we were deep in the fiscal year 2020 is when all of a sudden we experienced that hit of COVID taking us down for a little bit. And since then, we've been climbing out there repeatedly with all of our services. And knowing that these experiences that people have now are different than they did before COVID, some of the changes that we made include with paratransit, we, Go ahead, sir. Yep, you're right. Thank you, sir. We continue to evolve and be more efficient with our services and making sure that we're supporting our riders and what they're looking on doing. So something as simple as a wait stop, it may reduce the amount of trips that someone's taking, but that's a benefit. It's a better quality service because instead of going to a doctor appointment, then going home, and then going to the pharmacy, and then going home. Now that's all one trip. And so we're giving them a better quality experience on that transit and understanding the importance of that time. We expended over $24 million in grant funds, making sure we're prioritizing those older funds, getting them closed out and out of here. And then, as Andrew mentioned, in August of 24, we discovered that amazing Greyhound building for a downtown facility, and we closed on that in December of 24 with that hope of bringing in a downtown office with the customer-facing employees, board space, and possibly community resource center as well. With our community partnerships, again, we're always talking to our communities, whether it be through the construction collaborations like that big Michigan Avenue project, or whether it be through talking about upcoming developments. I know one of the items that we did when we found out about the Walter French apartments is we actually had a conversation with them as they're developing that site. And they say, hey, these are all going to be individuals who are low income, and this is affordable housing. How can we make sure we can incorporate amenities? Through partnering with them, as they finalize that site, they're going to be putting in a concrete pad for us on Cedar Street, and then we're going to follow and put in those amenities, knowing that individuals living there are going to use transit. So it's a way of that collaboration with new developments. So in this upcoming year, again, we're going to continue working with our regional partners, with E-Tran, with Clinton Transit, MDOT, talking with us in the process, helping us build that regional framework in place. So that way, regardless of where you live, what county it is, you can get to any job, any shopping opportunity in the region. Microtransit, that hard launch, as Lolo mentioned, is coming up at the end of the month. With those turnkey zones, we're also continuing working with our union partners on eventually bringing the Ready Ride to that CATA Rides platform. And we received a grant called the Equitable Mobility Challenge through MDOT that we're going to start talking about how can we possibly get those third shift workers who, work out there but then live in our service area. How do we get them home from work? So we're going to try to pilot that on the microtransit platform to see if we can make that life a little bit easier for them. And then the big thing right now is now that we have that microtransit out there, we have the foundational framework where we can really look deep into our service and see how we can be more efficient and what changes we can make. So we're going to initiate our comprehensive operations analysis. And what that's going to do is it's going to look at all of our system and say, well, are we doing great? What can we improve on? And then it also is going to give us those suggestions and saying, in the perfect world, we get 10% more funding. What could we do with that? In the reality, if we lose 10% of funding, what do we need to do to handle that bus by still giving our riders an excellent experience on the road? And then again, our customers, it's important. So we're going to continue to streamline those amenities. So those 7 shelters I mentioned, they're going to get out there. And we're also going to complete 2 additional orders of 10 shelters each, which includes those transit to trail shelters that Lolo mentioned. That's an amazing grant. We're going to bring bus stop amenities to trailhead networks in Lansing to make sure that someone could take transit, get to that trail, and then enjoy the positive experience in nature that they get from it. as everyone's been mentioning, triennial is a big thing. So we actually just received our packet of information that we need to fill out this morning, oddly enough, at 6 a.m. And I've been waiting for it. So that's why I know the time. And so we're going to be putting that all together, and that's due at the end of the month, at the end of February, I'm sorry. And then that's all in preparation for our on-site visit that's coming up sometime this summer. And so it's really looking at deep dive at everything. But as a collaborative team, we've really been making some great progress and getting prepared for that. We're going to be receiving those 2 electric buses, and along with our electric non-revenue vehicles that we keep adding in as they become eligible for replacement, we're working towards reducing our carbon footprint. And then that downtown facility, we want to start looking at that construction opportunity to co-locate spaces down there. And then I'm really looking for an additional grant possibly for some facade improvements. If anyone's looked at those old Greyhound stations, that amazing like streamline modern, I believe is what they call the architecture. You know, I would love to see CATA and neon lights on the facade. I'm just putting that out there. So it would be great if we can find a grant to pay for that though. And then our community partnership, again, we're going to continue working with our corridor improvement authorities, like Lolo mentioned, our South MLK art project that we're doing. Continue meeting with new developments, ensuring that if the developments are coming, especially if they're close to transit, how can we make sure that transit amenities are included to really promote using the service that we put out on the road? And then finally, with our 5310 call for projects, once we select our projects, we're going to set up a subrecipient program with them. And the reason why we do that is because 5310 is a complicated program. These nonprofits are held to the exact same standards that we are with the FTA. So we're going to set up that relationship with them and guide them through this process so we have a really strong service that meets FTA guidelines on the road. And I'm available for any questions if anyone has some.
Questions for Dustin on his presentation? Shanna?
So I'm going to just follow up on the shelters, which I'm loving seeing all this, and I love the transit to trail connectors. Part of what I was referring to last time was some of the sponsorship of like even the kind of amenities in the shelter and the artwork in the shelter, like we've done in other places where it's been maybe, you know, reflective of that neighborhood or that. And if you hit that in that, I apologize. That was just I was having a hard time keeping up. But I'm curious about that part of it, like maybe particularly with trails, but any of our new shelters, like how will they be? I have the word decorated in my head. That's not what I mean. But
no worries. Yeah. So I think, you know, marketing is working on an amazing program to kind of partner with local artists on bringing that art to the shelter. And before they have that program in place, you know, we have been putting some great graphics in there that really kind of stand out, because really the goal is we want a shelter to look like an asset to the neighborhood and not necessarily be like that eyesore that people are like, oh God, bus shelters here now. You know, we want people to take pride in that amenity.
I'm going to supplement because of the work you've done, and I'm going to connect 2 dots here. That's near and dear to my heart with bus stop shelters and so forth, because you talked about Walter French. You're dealing with developers, you're getting ahead of the game, and one of the constraints that is crazy, let me rephrase that, which is very difficult to overcome, is the federal environmental clearance process for us to put in shelters right now. It's unbelievable, and it's fairly new, and we're trying to change it. We're on a panel to do that. So if we're able to partner with developers or communities to get concrete poured in or have skin in the game from neighborhood councils, it gives us a little more flexibility in being able to get those in. So we are always looking for those partnerships and have several queued up, especially when a developer comes in and they can put the concrete down. It's amazing to me what we have to go through if we go out and try to start pulling permits for a bus stop. It is near and dear to our heart now.
Okay, appreciate it.
Go ahead, Steve.
Question about Ready Ride, picking up some of the rides functionality. Are you envisioning that could increase service hours?
So it's still early on in the process. And that's why exactly we're going to be working with our union partners on this to make sure that we are bringing on that technology, which makes more of an on-demand than a pre-scheduled ride. But we still have some finessing that we need to do in order to make sure that it fits the service hours that we put out there, or maybe the expansion, depending on how it goes.
So the goal is to give riders more flexibility.
Correct.
And reduce the lead time.
Correct. Ideally, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's something I would strongly support.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
So board members, we've had an opportunity at the end of each of these to ask questions, but we always have an item on this reformulated board retreat agenda for discussion in case there were any other questions or issues that board members wanted to raise at this time. With the caveat that this is really designed to be a sort of baseline informational meeting, setting up the future conversations that Jim alluded to in his presentation about what the budget looks like and more specifics upcoming. Steve?
I have a comment. I am impressed with the level of expertise and the breadth of expertise that has been explained today as a new member. CATA is way more than just running buses on a fixed route down the road. So it's as a representative for Reading Township, we're appreciative of the ingenuity of the organization. I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Jana?
We're just doing general.
Yep.
Yeah. I just want to add my thanks. I love this meeting. I love hearing the things that we hear all year, but just sort of seeing it all condensed. And, when you hear everything from the mechanics to the planners to the facilities and, topping it off, like all of that underpinning and the executive team and HR and happy employees, that all underpins your ability, Lola, to go out and do all of this great work with partners in the region. And, the bottom line is it makes people's lives better and it makes our communities better. It contributes to these great places and just really proud. And I'm really grateful for all of you guys. It's an impressive crew.
Bill?
I'd reiterate Shanna's comments. I appreciate all the staff time that went into these presentations. If you could provide us with a copy of the slides, each board member, I think it'd be very valuable to have, take back to our agencies.
Brad will make sure that happens as he always does.
I will get it out to you, and if I could, I'm sorry, you go ahead, Mr. Chairman. I see you were going to make some
No,
comments.
I had one brief comment, and then I think we've got a whole item on here on the agenda for your.
Oh my gosh.
Well.
You go ahead and run.
You get your own spot, Brad. Get your own spot.
Right, a special line item just for Brad. So other than to say ditto to the comments that have been made by my colleagues about the appreciation for the work that goes into from staff on this, I will just note, I believe when we sat in this room and did this last year, I made a comment about sort of the three big buckets that we were focusing on: the fleet transition, the technology upgrades to allow for mobile payment, and regionalism. And I want to say a special thank you to staff. You can crack me up, Brad. Special thank you to staff that you can see all those things and reporting out on that reflected in this presentation and the progress that has been made in those areas. I think that they will continue to be a focus area. And I want to express a special area of focus and appreciation to Brad, given that he is doing the dual role of CEO of this authority and the director of E-Tran, and trying to get us from that interim arrangement to a more final state arrangement that benefits the region, and how in nearly every one of these presentations, we saw the connection between some part of what CATA is doing and getting us to that point. I think that's huge, and I appreciate seeing how thoughtful staff has been about that reflected in this presentation. And I think the only thing I'd add to my three from last year and saying kudos for all the great work that has been done, which will be no surprise, is this facility is a big project downtown. I'm excited for the potential, and I'm excited to see staff's excitement reflected back at the board about its potential downtown. So thank you all for your work.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board members.
I will spare everyone a third recitation of our public comment rules before asking if there is anyone else, anyone present who wishes to offer public comment. We have one final opportunity this evening. All right. Seeing none, then Brad, the moment you've been waiting for, your closing remarks.
I have nothing else to say. No,
Not true.
Phil, our expectation at this point is that we will get you a digital copy or paper copy or e-reader copy, whatever is appropriate for you. If you have questions or comments, this is a fluid document. We'd like your interaction. Please get those back to us in the next couple of weeks. We'll make some revisions and we'll get that information back to you so we come into the next meeting prepared to talk about the finances. I will tell you, my pride comes from getting direction from this board, and I push this staff very hard. There were some very uncomfortable conversations, especially with the challenges we have on the social service side, and balancing it with the budget side. And these are tough times in transit right now. But we insist on, and I am hard to work for sometimes, and demand that we nail this. And I tell you this out of pride. This was not my presentation. I did not tell anyone how to do it. My pride is that you saw each of those directors come forward, their personalities and their leadership under Andrew's direction, who is glad this presentation's over. I pushed him very hard to excel at this, and that's how we're able to do more than one agency and get this done. So kudos to you, sir, and kudos to the directors. And we've got a lot of work to do, but thank you for the comments. It is their presentation for you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brad. So let's just conclude on one last note of thanks to Brad and the rest of the team for all the work that went into this presentation. It comes in here a finely polished product, and we know that a lot of work goes into it behind the scenes. So thank you all, and thank you to my board colleagues for sticking out. I know it's a longer meeting than usual, but it's very important to set the foundation for our future work. So thank you all. There being no further business to come before our retreat meeting, we are adjourned at 5:59.